I want to take a picture.
It happened. I'm now 60 years old.
They say at a certain age you just stop caring. I wonder what age that is.
Important to enjoy life while you still can.
Do I not exist? You think it's all right to ignore us? Just because she's got gray hair and I don't look like her?
I'd like to dispel the myth that you have to be young to have a voice.
To be an older woman and not to be ashamed of it or afraid of it or frightened of it.
I've got some things to say.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie Stahl. And joining me are four voices revolutionizing how women over 50 are portrayed in the media. So welcome. And I'm going to start the discussion with Maye Musk. Maye is a model, a dietitian. Maye, let's put up on the screen a picture of you as a model when you were a young girl of 21. Whoa. Now, let's see Maye today as a model at 69. Maye, you obviously defy the whole subject of this panel, which is that older women are being ignored in the media. What I want to ask you about is women being ignored in the media. Older women, 50? 50 is an older woman? I don't buy it. Do you buy that?
Well, I wasn't old at 50, and I'm going to be 70 next week, so I don't know when I get old.
Maye has just been made the spokesmodel of CoverGirl. So, tell us how that came about, and are you working steadily now as a model?
Yes. Well, you know, I guess CoverGirl just decided they wanted to represent women my age or any age, and they chose me, which was so exciting. It's not something you aim for as a model because there's no hope that you'll ever get there. And then it was a big surprise. And I think it's going to open up the doors for all women of all ages, but also women of 70 and over.
And you are working quite a bit, I'm told, as a model. Do you think there's been a very sudden and dramatic change in attitudes toward, quote, older women?
I think the older women who are commenting on my social media pages, they are saying thank you for representing, and I think the brands are listening.
You know, I really want to talk to each one of you on the panel about this 50 thing. It's driving me crazy. I mean, women are very sexy at 50, and I don't applaud because I know it's true, and I want to have that established on this stage. You are very sexy at 70.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I don't mention that in front of my 10 grandchildren.
Grandmothers are sexy, too. I want to point that out. I'm now going to turn for an opposing view from my girlfriend, Sheila Nevins, who has run a huge media operation for decades as head of the documentary unit at HBO. She's overseen 1,500 documentaries so far. So Sheila, Sheila, what age is an older woman? And do you see rampant sexism, ageism, across the board toward women in the media?
Which question do you want me to answer first?
Both.
At the same time?
50 and rampant
well, 50,
ageism.
I mean, I could be your mother. So I think 50 is a child.
Right.
I really do. Ageism at work, without question. I think there's just a notion that because you're old, and I am old, that I can't think young, that I can't learn young, and that I can't get the beat of now. And I think it's just very interesting because age is a very strange thing. You kind of go to bed at 40 and then you wake up and you're 70 or 80. It's like overnight it happens. And the signs of it seem to be more apparent to people on the outside very often than they are inside your head. I think somehow...
Do you feel 40?
Do I feel 40? No, not when I get up in the morning.
Right.
But when I have to think out loud what's next, I feel 35.
There you go. Sheila wrote a provocative and hilarious book called You Don't Look Your Age and Other Fairy Tales. You say in the book that we oldies are, quote, terrified of being disregarded and discounted. You write, nobody wants to listen to an old broad. Ouch. Do you really think that?
I do. That's why I've had facelifts and I, force myself to get injections, and because I'm a phony person trying to masquerade as something that I'm really biologically not. Is that okay?
Well, that's what you think.
I mean, I'm terrified of age. I am terrified. I do everything I can to prevent it. Although I think now, after this panel, I might just sink right into it. Is that okay? Thank you.
Sheila and I have debated this issue before.
Yes.
She has a much darker view of aging than I do. Here's my position. I think men go through exactly what women go through, and that men are just as afraid of getting older as women are. And men are also taking extraordinary measures, facelifts and Botox, as women are. Do you disagree with that?
I disagree with that. I think that there is no word for there's a distinguished man. A distinguished woman is an old woman. There is no word. What is the word that equals distinguished man for us? What would you like to be called?
Effective.
Has anyone ever called you that? In the workplace?
Sheila, you are the epitome of a woman who
of a bitch. I am the epitome. I'm sorry, but I am.
Thank God she's on the panel, that's all. Michaela Angela Davis, you have been a fashion and design editor for several magazines. You've been a stylist for Beyonce and Oprah, just to name two. How do you see the portrayal of older women, I'm continuing to put that in quotes, in magazines, movies, on television, and what age is older?
So first, I identify as a grown-ass woman. Not an older woman, I'm grown-ass, and love it. I've been waiting to be a grown-ass woman all my life. And I don't measure my life in time. I measure it in experience. And most of us do. We look at events, and a birthday is just one event, right? And so this notion of measuring my life or other people's lives on some arbitrary spectrum doesn't appeal to me. But I want to just level set for a second. And though I have blonde hair and I'm extremely light-skinned, I am here as a Black woman. And so there's layers, right? So you have race, gender, age. The further you are away from a white, heterosexual Christian male, the more layers of negotiating and manipulating you do in any space. Like I couldn't be here, right? if I didn't know a lot about whiteness and media, I couldn't be on the stage, I wouldn't be invited, you wouldn't see me. The same is not true for you. You don't have to know about black women to be here. You don't have to know about, you don't have to. You probably do because you're intelligent and interested in the world, but I'm just wanting to kind of set my space and who I hope to bring into the room are another level of invisible women, right? And so just because, you know, they say black don't crack, but it folds. You know, and we don't, you know, skincare and sunscreen and all those things aren't offered to us because they believe that we have these magical superpowers and that aging for us is different, even though we die fast. We bury our mothers quicker than anyone else because heart disease and stress and oppression and racism and sexism and all the isms black women hold. And so I don't even think I got to your question.
No.
At all.
But I want to pause you for one sec, because you have participated in a video about the subject at hand here, ageism. And let's just run a little clip of that, and then let's talk directly to that, okay?
Okay.
All right.
How can you be anti-aging?
It doesn't make sense.
It's time we stop using this archaic rhetoric because language matters.
Our wrinkles, lines, and experience tells the story.
And it's up to us to say we're not playing that shit anymore.
So we must teach our children
that aging isn't ugly, not beautiful for her age, just beautiful.
Wow. I've never seen that.
What inspired the film? And what do you hope it's conveying?
Well, Allure asked me, and I said yes. But again, because rarely black women aren't asked to be in those spaces. You know, Essence I've been in 1,000 times as an editor. In black media, I'm asked. So it was important for me to be in that Allure clip because of this, you know, because it was Allure. And also, I just turned 54. I had to remember that. It folds. It folds.
Are you sure you're not on the wrong panel?
No. I know, she just said, when you said that we were also, you know, Sheila, I just want to acknowledge you. Like, I was at a conversation with Sheila last night. She read from her book. It was brilliant. And then I introduced myself, and I said, we're going to be on this panel together. And she said, what are we going to talk about? And I said, I don't know, Sheila, I just hope we tell the truth. And you did. So I just want to thank you because some of this shit is scary, and it's, you know, aging gracefully, darling. Like, inside, though, it's difficult. It's like, who is that in the mirror? But part of I think what was important about that clip is actually changing the narrative and not resisting living, because that's what anti-aging says to women. Anti-aging means anti-living. So the message is, go, disappear, go away, die, or put this cream on your face to stay alive, right? And so...
Do you have it with you?
The cream? Yeah. So my mother often quotes Lena Horne because she said, it's genes and voodoo, right? Because my mother's flawless, too. But part of it is genetic. Part of it is genes. Some of it could be voodoo, but I take very good care of myself. I drink all that green shit. I take shots, whatever. But so there is radical self-care. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I woke up like this. But I do take. There is care involved. There's procedures. But I've had, you know, if you said you had a facelift, it's very well done.
Who are you pointing
some are
at?
better than others.
Just one?
You've had one?
2.
Oh, I haven't had any.
I'm so sorry for you.
Well, I mean, there's lots of life
but
ahead,
I mean,
right?
at your age, I hadn't...
You had a facelift by the time you were 54?
No, 57.
Oh, that's right.
I'll call you in 3 years.
Okay, all right. But in the meantime, I'm going to take
All right, I'm gaining control of this conversation right now. I just want to quote you back to yourself, Michaela. You have said that unless ads, and I assume you mean on television, maybe magazines as well, unless ads are about menopause or erectile dysfunction, you really don't see older women. And I'll have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like where you're broken or where you're a mess or you need this product to stay upright or you fall in and can't get up. Like that, that's the message, that's the casting, right? And why I open saying that I'm a grown-ass woman, I have never felt so ready and prepared in me and to be in this moment. And then here you are looking for the spotlight and it's gone and it's on some 20-year-old that doesn't, that could benefit from the cross-generational experience, right? And so...
All right, so we're going to turn to Markus Strobel, who is president of Global Skin and Personal Care at Procter & Gamble, and the poor only man here.
We'll change seats.
Do you want to move down here, Michaela?
Yeah, I think we should change seats.
I'll be fine, thank you.
He's fine. He's going to be able to be fine. So, Markus,
if there is a product bag, I'll take it.
She wanted that.
I'm sure you will.
Give it to me. Give me her bag. I'll take her bag.
And I certainly couldn't do it. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
I don't know about you all, but I'm beginning to feel real sorry for Markus right now. Markus, you are spearheading a campaign for Olay on this subject. And let's run a little clip of a video that you're making for this campaign and then talk about that.
Look at me. You have such a magnificent smile. Thank you. You look beautiful. Thank you. You're gorgeous. Roll those shoulders back on me. Come on. I think you're beautiful for your age. I feel like you're so accomplished for your age. You're really strong for your age. You're beautiful for your age. You're successful, you're gorgeous for your age. No.
How about I look pretty good, period?
I do feel judged based on my age.
Yeah, it makes me really pissed off.
All right.
Okay. Markus is redeemed.
That was a good comeback. That was a good comeback.
That women speak.
So tell us about the film.
I mean, we're hearing from women all over that they do not want to be defined by age. Yet in society and media, they are defined by age. I mean, we did a global survey, and 77% of women said they think that society unfairly judges women based on their age. That's a pretty big number, right? So we made it our mission to make this part of the conversation. And if you look at this for your age thing, right? It's pretty, the ageism is kind of hard to detect. It's kind of subtle, but for your age is kind of a backhanded compliment, right? You say somebody you look good, and then you're qualified for your age. And it's usually said to women. I have never seen this been said to a man before. At least nobody ever said it to me. I don't know what that means. But it's usually said to women. If you say, woman, you are looking good for your age, what you're implying is that at this age, women normally do not look good. Okay? So it's kind of an ageism thing. And I believe this is not only beauty and older women. This is in general. When we worked on this campaign, my daughter called me, who is a science girl, chemical engineer, finished college, was just looking for her first job, and she had an interview, and she was calling me raging and ranting. She's kind of a sassy, raging and ranting girl, because the interviewer told man told her in the end, you're quite smart for your age. Like, my God, do you think my generation is stupid? So we believe that this for your age is fairly universal. It goes beyond beauty. It goes beyond old, young. Everybody should be the best they can be at any age. That's what we're trying to do in the talk.
But I have to ask you, Markus, Procter & Gamble is the largest advertiser in the world. So your company has had a lot to do with the image of women in ads and on television. So is there a little mea culpa going on here?
Let me do a little one. okay? A tiny little one.
Tiny one?
A tiny one, okay. No, I think, when I travel a lot, when I'm in an airport shop, I usually, been attracted to Men's Health. You know Men's Health? There's usually like a 20-year-old guy with a six-pack on every cover.
For
right?
men.
Yeah, for men.
Yeah.
But I feel, I find it's quite aspirational. I would like to have a little bit of my old six-pack when I was 20, not the six-pack today that's sculpted by craft beer. But do I want to be 30 years younger? No. I was so stupid then. I have much more fun now. I don't want to be younger, right? So I think in the advertising industry or the beauty industry, maybe we have been a bit lazy. Because what you want to be at any age, you want to be beautiful at any age, you want to look great in any age, you want to be useful at any age, but you don't want to be younger, right? So this is a creative challenge. This is a creative challenge, right? Because if you can solve this challenge creatively with new ideas, we come up with a new way of portraying women, not only showing young women.
Oh, I have one more question for Markus before we open it up, because I'm so glad to have an expert in marketing here for me to ask this.
Oh, this is very flattering. I'm not sure if I'm an expert.
Well, yeah, I don't think you're going to be so flattered when I'm finished. Why do retailers only want to send their ads out to young people, young women? Sheila will tell you this, as I will, that what counts on television are young eyeballs. What counts for marketers is reaching young people. Older people, I hate this word now, older people.
You could be
women,
a grown-ass woman, too.
We have the baby boomer women, 65 and up. We are vast in numbers, and we have the money in this country.
Yeah.
Women of older than 65 have more money than men. And
that's
we have
great.
the ability to spend it. Why are you only interested in marketing to young people? Now, be honest with us here.
Well, I think this has a multitude of reasons, and it probably has grown over the years, but I think it's changing now. And I think where we need to go and in which direction this is changing is, we see many more older women now portrayed in advertising, in the media. We're taking a stand, but I think we have to go a step further. In Japan, I was just doing a campaign on our skincare brand SK2. We have a lot of spokespersons. We have a 23-year-old spokesperson. We have a 65-year-old spokesperson. And it was very delineated. 23-year-old for the young target group, 65-year-old for the old target group, right? So if you talk about ageless, it doesn't make any sense, right? So what we did is we brought them together. We brought a young woman and an older woman together. And if you see them on the screen together, it's magic. You don't know who the older and who the younger woman is, right? And I think if we can find new creative ways of doing it, I think we can move a step forward.
Okay, let's everybody address this issue of whether things have changed, seriously changed in a major way, attitudes toward older women. Because I see a lot of older women on television, covers of magazines. Yeah. May, why don't you start this? Do you think we're a little behind in this discussion?
Well, I've never feared aging because my mother never did, and my daughter doesn't either. So I've never thought about, is age a problem? As a dietitian, no matter how old you are, if your brain's working, you can work. As a model, as I got older, I was always the older model. And did I care? No, I was working. Right. I was quite happy to be called anything, just book me. And so I don't have that problem, and I must say I'm working more now than ever.
What do you think?
So I wanted to ask you a question, because when I was on the editorial side of things and being at women's magazines, particularly women's magazines for women of color, I was often in advertising sales meetings. There were so many white dudes in the room making decisions about women of color. Yep. So how many women were a part of making the images? Who are the storytellers? Whose fantasy are we being lenses? Whose lens of fantasy are we being pushed through? So a lot of what we're working against now is not just who ends up on the magazine cover. Who are the decision makers? Who's saying yes, or who's saying I think women think, right? And that you would need to that we need data to prove what we already know, right? And when are you empowered as a woman in that boardroom to speak up and go, no, that's whack? So you're in there shape-shifting and managing and trying to keep a job and not wanting to ruffle the feathers, but whether you were a fashion designer or a director or an art director or a photographer, men, generally. There were men doing your hair, there were men doing your makeup, there were men choosing all the fantasies.
Changing?
So that's really where we have to change, is not just who's in front of the camera, but who are the decision makers. So seeing people like Ava and Issa, and they're squatting up and saying, look at all these women I'm working with. Look at the women who are holding the camera, whose actual gaze is capturing these images that we see. So I think having more women in all the facets, not just selling the idea or the product, but writing the stories.
That's the point. I think, and I just put in there, I think it's not enough what we're seeing today. The research is, okay, we're just putting a print ad of different women out there holding a product. It's telling the stories, telling the background stories. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, only if you look at the audience today, how many different women we have in the room, right? Old, young, different ethnicities. And at the end of the day, I feel in advertising, we got to represent the diversity of our audience. And it's slow, but I hope we'll be getting there.
When I started in my business, I was told that women weren't going to last on television beyond the age of 40. Wow. And then they had to catch up, and as we lasted, it was 50. And I'm telling you, it's 70 now, and Barbara Walters was on the air till she was in her 80s. You've seen a lot of changes. You're still working.
Yes.
You are still working.
But I mean, I think this idea that ageism or aging is so glorious it's just full of shit. I mean, the images that have to change about ageism, men, women, black, white, big ass, small ass, the real thing that has to change is aging is not necessarily disability. Aging is not necessarily not being able to think clearly or have a new idea or have a great idea. Ageism, yes, there's the superficial part, and I'm a sucker for that. But I think, in fact, had I grown up in a world where I knew women my age who didn't have walkers, who could think clearly, the image of aging is based on disability. The people on the floor that can't get up. Maybe a cream will help them. I don't really know that. But I think that the real thing is, the image that has to change is the disabled elderly person. And when that changes, I think you can move in wellness. I mean, wellness, well old. Mm-hmm. And I think that will break down the barriers. I think that's where I would like to make a contribution, which is I can't run as fast as I could, but I can run smarter. And I think that's the part, and I can think clearer. I may not remember your name as quickly as I used to, but I sure remember what's important. And I think if you can present women in media as thinking, walking, breathing, alive, because alive at a certain age is a great gift. It's a fucking gift to be alive in your 70s.
Let's end on that note.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you.